Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube video. Today I'm going to be learning endgames on the Chessable website. Okay, that was my YouTube intro. Okay, I'm going to fork them, and you can't take pieces. Stalemate, so again here, to defend that, push the pawn to threaten queening, move the king over, threaten to fork, threaten to fork, then fork, threaten to fork. Okay. So now it's the next one. And may your pursuit of chess excellent be as dogged and successful as this cute little bishop hunt. Okay. Just keep chasing it. Why can't it just... I'm confused at why it doesn't just go somewhere over here, but... Nice. And you just win the bishop. That's hilarious. You just have to follow it forever. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Because all that you're doing is litter. Okay. What? There? I would have just gone there and won, but you know. Queen? And almost do it. What? There's you can queen, but you're not gonna. Oh, so it's teaching you the philosophy of this course. Okay. Oh, oops. Okay. This is actually really interesting because he doesn't. You don't go for the win straight away, which I like. You just sit and bide your time, and then you win that way. Okay. So we're done with the first chapter. On to the next one. Man. Okay. And we only have one viewer. Okay, and if one viewer is followed to me, feel free to leave a comment on how I can improve the stream. Yeah, this is the... Okay. Yeah, so that just wins. Okay. So, you get opposition, and then you push the pawn forward. So then, here the object is king f7, and then your queen. So it's as simple as that, you just queen. So you get the opposition to force him behind the pawn, then you push the pawn up, and force his king away, then you just run up and queen. So this is a very simple puzzle. But it is a good theory to know. So yeah, oops. Okay. So these YouTube videos, if you are watching it on YouTube, oops, sorry about that, yikes. Okay. Of course. So these YouTube videos will be 4 or 5-part series in which I just play chess and learn these by heart, basically. So, yep, so by the end of this series, you and I will hopefully know how to play almost all endgames. So each video will be about 10 minutes long. And yeah, so here you want to get the opposition. So when you get the opposition, whoever has the opposition always draws or wins, depending on if you're attacking or defending. And then here, so you want to get the opposition, then run in front of the pawn. Get the opposition, run in front of the pawn. So when the king's in front of the pawn on the 5th rank, and it's the defender's move, it's a win. When it's the opposition's move, it's also a win, but it's a bit more complicated. So now you make what I call the runway, which are these 3 squares that are all guarded by the king, and the opposing king can never stop it, and then you just queen. So it's like a runway. So opposition, make the runway, run forward with the pawn. So when it's the attacker's move, it's also a win, but you have to do the squeeze play. So now you push the pawn, and the idea is, if it's your move in this position, if it's their move in this position, it's a draw. They can get the opposition. But since you have the opposition, right, they just moved out of it, so therefore you have the opposition. You can push, and their king can only go there, and then you can make the runway. And then, yep, and then you can make the runway. And then you just queen. So, go over there, push the pawn again, make the runway, and queen. So, run the pawn forward, make the runway, and queen. So, yeah. So the attacker does win, but only when it's opposition in front of the pawn. So now here you're making a other runway, right? So you're slowly working to the final runway, as I call it. So this is the final runway, but this is also a runway, and this is a runway. It's just these. And then you push, and when they get opposition, you take the opposition back, and then you make the runway. So opposition, runway, opposition, runway, opposition, push the pawn, they get opposition, you take opposition back, and you make the runway. So opposition, make the runway, opposition, make another runway, opposition, let them get opposition, take opposition back, get a runway, and yeah. So that's about all that there is to it, I would say. Now this will be the last one in the first YouTube video. There will be more and more YouTube videos to come. So this is the last position in the first YouTube video. Probably a video every day or so. But you can watch them on twitch.tv/animatedchess. You might have to be followed, but you can go to the VOD and watch the full thing where I'm just clipping it from. So just take opposition. As long as you always have opposition, or are 2 squares in front of the pawn, it's always a draw. 2 squares in, see, so this time you don't have opposition, they technically have opposition, but you're within 2 squares in front of the pawn, and that's a win, because the king will always go forward, and you can always reclaim opposition. And 2 squares in front of the pawn, and king back, 2 squares in front of the pawn, opposition, opposition, king within 2 squares in front of the pawn, still within 2 squares in front of the pawn, opposition, king e1, and then that's forced stalemate. So always get opposition, keep opposition forever, and then stay 2 squares in front of the pawn. 2 squares in front of the pawn until you can get opposition, then 2 squares in front of the pawn. 2 squares in front of the pawn, opposition, 2 squares in front of the pawn, 2 squares in front of the pawn, opposition, and now if there, and king there, that's stalemate. And if the king goes anywhere else, you just take the pawn. So you just go there, and then just keep opposition no matter what until you can be 2 squares in front of the pawn. And keep the 2 squares in front of the pawn until you can get opposition. Then 2 squares in front of the pawn, 2 squares in front of the pawn, opposition, 2 squares in front of the pawn, and that's about all that you have to remember. Just stay 2 squares in front of the pawn. When you can't get opposition, get opposition. When you can't be 2 squares in front of the pawn, or when you have the choice, always get opposition instead of 2 squares in front of the pawn. The only thing that I would say is if there you get opposition and they run away and there's a 1 square gap horizontally between them and their pawn, don't follow them with opposition. Just go 1 square in front of their pawn. Okay, so that's a trick. Because if they get you that far away, they can just push their pawn and you can never come back and they're gonna queen. So that is a trick that I wish that they had showed in this, but I can only show it with arrows. So thank you for watching this YouTube video. Hope that you liked it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.